Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Recruits DRAFTCAST. I am your host, Rick Springhetti, and we got the man himself, Mr. Grant McCagg. Grant, how are you this morning?
Oh, Rick, I'm great because you know why?
Why?
It's a great day to talk hockey.
Oh, of course it is. When is it not? That's such a good point on this beautiful, somewhat beautiful summer day. Grant, a lot happening in the Habs, even though nothing is happening in the Habs. There's always something to talk about, always something to ponder and to think about. And my thoughts are on the Habs decor. A lot of players right now, not a lot of good depth, a lot of quality options. Uh, what do you see with the Montreal's defense core? How do you see it playing out? Do you think Mike Matheson will be re-signed to an extension? And if he's not, do you prefer that he be moved now, or maybe and get Laine Hutson back on left D, or do you think it's better to wait, give Ryan Barker a little bit more time to get accustomed to the pace of the NHL? How do you see this turning out by the start of the season?
Who's Mike Matheson? Is that Billy Madison's older brother or little, little bit of that Montreal accent coming out on you? Eh? Um,
Yeah, a little bit.
uh, you know what, Rick? That's a great question. Uh, you know, Hutson may start on the right. A lot will
Mhm,
depend, I think, on Ryan Bacher, right? If he comes to camp and he's ready to roll. It'll make it interesting, but uh, it's not like Hutson was the only left defenseman who played on the right side either last year.
mhm.
So let's say Ryan Barker gets sent to the minors, okay?
All right.
And Hutson starts the season on the right, and he's not doing that well. They can try Gooley and they can try Matheson, Struble. They all saw time on the right last year.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's Hutson or bust, right?
Right.
Again, if Hutson starts the season on the right, Reinbacher's playing well in the minors, then you can call him up too, right? There'll be that option after the start of the
Mhm.
season. Like Reinbacher could spend a month. The greatest defenseman in Montreal's history, Larry Robinson, got called up halfway through his second
Wow.
AHL season, right?
Right.
Uh, and it seemed to work out okay for him. So,
He did fine. He did
you
okay.
know, uh, so there are a lot of different options there.
Mhm.
Um, I think Matheson, it'll be. I don't think they're going to make a decision this summer and say, "Well, we're moving him now." I think they'll let it play out till at least the trade deadline. And if Montreal's not in a playoff position at that time, then they'll move him. I'd
Mhm.
say if they are, it might be a lot like last year where they were really in the hunt. And even though Armia and Dvorak and Evans were all pending UFAs, they re-signed Evans and they didn't trade Dvorak and Armia because they felt they needed those players to make the playoffs, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, if they're in a position where they're just out of the playoffs and they want to make the playoffs, they're probably going to want to hold on to Matheson because he'll help them.
Of
But
course.
also, if they're in a solid playoff position, don't want Matheson and they think that they could make a good run, they'll
Mhm.
want Matheson for that run. I do
Oh
believe
yeah.
because I don't think he's like the 6 or 7 or 8 defenseman on the depth chart in Montreal. He's top four. So,
Yeah.
uh, it what do you think? What do you think on that,
No,
Rick?
yeah, I think the situation too is very different than last year, where last year you had maybe an aging David Savard. You had a Baron that was not really showing that he was ready for those big minutes yet. So when you're removing somebody to the right that is usually a lefty, you're removing somebody to play big minutes on the right. and take on a lot of responsibility. Where if this year you have to move a lefty to the right, such as a Goulet or a Matheson or Hutson, whatever the case may be, you're not asking him to take on the big minutes because you already have a Dobson and Carrier to kind of shelter somebody and put him in a position where they're always doing a secondary role on the right side. So where you could have Carrier taking on the defensive face-off, let's say on the right side, you could have a Dobson on the right side in the offensive zone to take on that responsibility. But whoever is moved is going to be doing it as a secondary role. So the pressure is not as high. The responsibility is not as demanding if you have to do that. So the player who's going to have to do that will probably be in a better position to succeed. Whereas last year, you're getting Goulet, Matheson, and even Hutson to be the primary guy on the right side, even though they're on the left and maybe not used to it. So the situation leads itself to maybe being more successful than it was last year. And I think that's an important factor to consider when we're analyzing this whole thing.
Yeah, I thought Hutson was really solid on the
Oh
right,
yeah.
and actually
Oh
his
yeah.
plus minus was a lot better, I believe, when he switched over to the right, which is kind of interesting. But
Oh, that's
and certainly the old man hasn't practiced in taking passes on his backhand, as we said last. You know,
He's ready for every opportunity
yeah,
or every
that's right.
possibility, right? You got to be
That's
ready
right.
in this league.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if right, go ahead.
so it's also that the situation lends itself right now where there's not a lot of movement to the NHL. So why rush to move Matheson for nothing? He's worth he's worth he's a valuable player. He's an important player, and you might as well wait and see. Maybe a team, no, a team is going for the Stanley Cup this year. A left-handed defenseman gets injured at the start of the year. Well, Matheson becomes an incredible option because he could take on the big minutes fairly well or even very well, and he doesn't have a big contract. And even if you want to go further than that, and Montreal wants to really, get something in return that's fantastic, let's say they take on 50% of his deal and they put him on the market for a good team, the return could be really fantastic for Montreal. So you got to think short term, but you got to think long term too, and the value of the player and how to maximize the value of the player you have.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other factors like if Reinbacher clearly outplays Jackeye and Struble in camp,
Hmm.
and a team comes calling in early October for a defenseman, it may be one of those two who's moved and not Matheson,
Of
right?
course, of course, of
That
course, absolutely. I agree.
because ideally you've got like the three Gooley, Matheson, Hutson on the left, Reinbacher, Carrier, and Dobson on the right. Like that's probably your six best defensemen
Yeah,
if
I agree.
Reinbacher's ready, right?
I
And
agree.
like it which do they go in? It depends. Like if they go with 7 or 8 defensemen and break camp, if it becomes clear that no one has stepped up to start the season as a second line center, and
Hmm.
Reinbacher has a strong camp. Hughes may dangle one of the left defensemen, to try to pick up that center. There's that factor too, right? A
Absolutely,
lot's going to depend.
100%.
So I don't think it makes sense to try to deal Matheson at this point. I think you go to camp, you see how things are going, you see how Reinbacher's doing, you see how the centers are doing, and if anybody looks like he's ready to play second line center, if Doc and Kapanen and Beck are all playing well, or one of them looks really good, you then you don't dangle a defenseman at the end of camp. Teams can have injuries and start in the season say, "Oh, geez, we need a left defenseman."
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll give you this second line center, for that left defenseman and a pick or whatever the case may be, right? So I think there's
Absolutely.
going to be a lot of factors, and I don't think it makes sense to trade any of them right now. Just wait till the end of camp and make decisions in that regard. A on Reinbacher, B on who look. If Struble is great in camp, you don't want to maybe move. Like it all depends on so much, right? So
It does.
uh, if they don't plan on keeping Matheson, I think they'll wait until the deadline to deal him if Reinbacher's been in the minors and is clearly ready by February, right?
Absolutely.
They may also take the same approach with Matheson as they did with Dvorak and Armia. And if they're in a playoff spot at the deadline and decided Matheson can help, they'll probably hang on to him. And the thing with Matheson is, I don't think they're worried about being able to re-sign him if they decide that that's what they want to do. Because Matheson being a West Island boy
Yes.
and stuff, I think, he'd be a guy that you could play the season out and still sign him between the end of the playoffs and free agency. He wouldn't go to free agency if
I
they
agree.
wanted to sign him. So things point to me towards at least waiting to the trade deadline and see where they are in the standings, where Reinbacher is. Do they need a left? Do they need a second line center? They're, how are the other 7 playing? Are there injuries? A lot of factors, I think.
Yes, yes, and for and that's a great point about Montreal's own injuries. You don't want to move a guy too quickly, and then one of your own players gets injured, and now you're the one who's scrambling to find a replacement. They did. They don't have Mayu in the system anymore. I think Ekstrom has played well, but he might not be ready for NHL duty. So you have to be a little bit careful in who you have ready to step in if something does happen. And I don't think Montreal is trying not to take a step back at this point of their development. They want to continue moving forward and keeping that good vibe going around the team. So I agree. I think it's going to be a situation where they're going to wait. I think Ken Hughes is always open-minded to see what happens out there, but I don't think he's looking right now to move him. I agree with you 100%. I don't think it would make any sense to do so right away.
Good. Well, I'm glad you agree with me.
Talking about the Habs and what's going on these days around the team also, I think one thing that stood out to the both of us is Patrick Laine has been hitting the heights with the players already during this offseason, practicing and working out with them and really seemingly doing so with some enthusiasm. Can you comment a little bit on Patrick Laine's offseason right now?
Yeah, well, he stopped eating wedding cake, right? The honeymoon's over.
Yes.
The it's funny, like people saying, "Oh, what's he doing? What's he doing? Getting married and eating wedding cake, and he's no should be on the
Oh,
ice." Like
brother.
they
Oh,
expect him to sleep and sleep on Brassard's ice surface.
yeah. Are they gonna tell off Nick Suzuki for getting married yesterday? For the same are the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
people.
yeah.
By the way, our congratulations to both. It's great news for
Well,
both
yeah.
both youngsters.
I think Laine getting married is a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
like the missus will distract him from playing, Fortnite or whatever, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, I think it's a good thing for him. And um, uh, yeah, I think it's great that he's practicing. I expected that, and it's cool that he's staying in Montreal too. I think, and
Yes, that's true.
embracing the city and hanging out with teammates and this could be the first uh, 4 or 5 month period that he can train properly in a long time and be healthy and get in the best shape that he's been in a while. And you can't like it's safe to say yes, he scored a bunch of power play goals when he first joined the lineup, but you could see his skating and conditioning was
No,
not very good when
no,
he
the
when
pace
he
was
first joined the
struggling.
club. So
Absolutely.
and then he got injured again and it affected his shot. And you know, when you're in good shape and your skating is at its peak, you can find more open space and time to make plays. And I think you'll see less turnovers, less poor plays from Line A when he's in better shape and in good condition and playing regularly. Um, he's a 30 assist man for his career. That's second best on the Canadians. So it's not like he can't pass the puck. He can, but I think it's more he's always been a better passer when it's an open ice and when he's moving, not when he's stuck along the boards and they
Hmm.
pass it to him on the power play, and there's two guys right on him anyways, and then he's got to
Yes.
make a pass. That's not when his playmaking is at its best, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing with you, and that's exactly a great point where you that little boost of energy gives him that little second to be open because we've seen it, right? That shot does not need more than half a second to leave a stick, right? So if he could find a quarter of a second here and there to get open, it changes up a lot of options for him and just gets him more effective as a player, more involved. So yeah, that's so true what you're saying about him. Being swamped and not having the energy or the quickness to get that little second open. That's so true.
Yeah, right on.
And I think also what strikes me and I think is super important is that for I think for a few years, uh, coming to the rink was a chore for Patrick Laine. He wasn't in a good headspace. I didn't think he felt like in any of the teams he was that he fit in or that he was fully a member of the team. And he's in Montreal and during the summer. He's hitting the ice voluntarily because it doesn't have to be there at all. This is all voluntary, and he's willing to hit the ice with the guys and be involved. And it seems like he's fitting. He's finding a place where he fits in, and he's rediscovering his joy of playing hockey. This is science to me, at least, that he is, because again, he could just easily be somewhere else, say he's training in private and just doing his own thing, but he's not. He's looking for opportunities to get around his teammates and being a part of the team. That's got to be fantastic for his mindset and his willingness to be part of the team and be a factor.
Yeah, it's an underrated part of we don't the mental health of a player, right? Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know what's going through a player's mind and how they tick. And yeah, I mean, I predicted it last year when he signed with the Canadians that he would probably embrace being in Montreal.
Hmm.
Um, he doesn't mind the spotlight. Uh, that injury, unfortunately, I think he might have had a really good season last year if he hadn't got
Yeah,
injured, I think.
I
Uh,
agree.
so I think he'll surprise. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh no, you can't have him on the second line." Well, career 60-point scorer. You know, there aren't many any in the Habs lineup. Uh,
Yeah,
35 goal scorer when he's healthy every 82 games. So
yeah,
they need that. They could really use it, and I think he'll be motivated, and I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. I'd like to see him playing with Demidov. I
I
think
would too.
uh, I think those two can develop some chemistry, and Demidov's decent defensively, and Laine, yeah, he's got his blips here and there defensively, but he's not when he's motivated, when he's you know competing. He's all right defensively too. He's not ever gonna be perfect away from the puck, but we saw him hustle on back checks.
Hmm.
I watched it quite
Yes.
a bit. I looked at some more tape of him uh, during the season down the stretch and stuff, and you know, he he can do the job defensively too. It's just got to be in shape first and foremost, and go from there.
Yeah, and one last thing about Liney too is last year when he was playing, he was often matched up with two players that were struggling to produce offense. So all the onus was on him on that
Yeah.
line. Where if he has a demi-dove with him, they kind of give each other a little bit more freedom, forcing the opponent to spread out their defense with both of them. So that could really be interesting too for the both of them to have a really good season, working out off each other a little bit that way, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. I did a video shift by shift yesterday on Demidov, and
Yes.
it demonstrates just how solid he already is defensively.
Hmm.
He's underrated in that regard because he's so dynamic with the puck. You think of him only as a offensive
Hmm.
player. He couldn't
Yeah.
possibly be good both ways. Well, he is.
Hmm.
He's a good. He competes. He's smart. He's good positionally. Um, he's a solid defensive player. So I think that they can. I think that they will. And Demidov's a fantastic playmaker too. So
Yes, he
you
is.
get these two in the open ice. You know, two on ones and stuff like that. They'll eventually get some chemistry together, and I think they might click pretty well.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing that next year, and it's going to be a lot of fun as fans to watch this all play out. And it's fun to see all the future stars, the present and the future stars the Montreal Canadiens have with Demidov and Fowler and Reinbacker and all that, and a lot of them are getting a lot of attention. But Grant, I want to talk to you about some prospects maybe that are flying under the radar a little bit because not everyone is gets all the attention with the plenitude of players that Montreal have. But is there any player in the Montreal system right now that you think maybe is maybe a little bit flying under the radar, maybe because their style doesn't stand out as much or their role is not as spectacular? But is there any Habs prospect you think we should talk about that really should be looked at a little bit more closely from fans?
Well, uh, I think there's a few flying under the radar, but um, I mean, I could list Engstrom, Protz, Thorpe, for three, but
Hmm.
I think all three have captured fans' attention in one way or another. Like
Okay,
Protz being named to the World Juniors Summer Showcase tells you he's highly regarded by Hockey Canada.
true. Yeah.
Engstrom, a lot of fans that were watching Laval last year was saying, "Oh, he's better than Mayu."
Hmm.
So he's not necessarily under the radar with Habs fans now after
Right.
seeing him for a full year in Laval, I think.
Right.
And same with Thorpe with his, you know, the rookie tournament last year, he looked good. And then at the development camp, he scored some big goals. And so I don't know that he's under the radar either right now.
Hmm.
I think fans are kind of excited about him.
Hmm.
Vinny Rohr, you know, he was a third round pick, so a fairly high pick, and he just won 2 Swiss League titles. So again, not sure you can say he's under the radar. And
Hmm.
even Sam Harris with all the goals he scored last year in Denver. I mean, those are all wild card. They've all overachieved from where they were picked, I think, in the
Okay.
NHL draft. But as far as like under the radar, I don't know that I would class them. So uh, I'd have to go with Philip Eriksson.
Oh,
I think
wow.
he,
There's
I think he's definitely under the radar as a sixth round pick who's played on multiple teams in Sweden the last 2 years. Like
hmm
he ended up being loaned by Vaxio in the SHL to Djurgården, who was in the Hockey Allsvenskan, and he was a solid contributor. Helped get them promoted back into the SHL, and this is only 2 years after he was drafted. Right, the
right.
the Habs got him in the sixth in 2023 in part because he missed most of the season with injury
Yes.
that year. He
Yes.
spent the last 2 years in the SHL and Allsvenskan, despite only ever playing 11 games in junior for the like in the top junior league.
Hmm.
So that's impressive that he never played a game in junior the last 2 years, despite only ever playing 11 games before his draft year. He,
That is something.
or sorry, in his draft year, he needed to improve his speed, and I think he's done just that.
Hmm.
Next year, he'll play for Luleå in the SHL, and I'm not sure why he's jumped around so much, but I think it's more a question of teams wanting him than teams not wanting him or
Right.
whatever.
Right. 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 I get it. I get it. Yes.
Just like Heineman, I guess you could say.
Yes.
You know, but
Everybody loves him.
for a sixth-round pick, I think he's under the radar, and I think he's a solid prospect. Will he ever play for the Canadians? I don't know. Will he play in the NHL? Well, his career is trending that way. So, uh, smart, two-way, skilled center who, at the very least, will become a really good SHL centerman, I think. And for a sixth-round pick, I think he can go to Laval eventually and be a solid piece there. And who knows, maybe make the next step. So consider where he was drafted and how little fanfare he gets. That'd be the guy I'd pick, Rick. How about yourself?
That's a great. You really surprised me with that one. This is like talk about flying under the radar. He flying under the radar for me. I didn't even, I didn't have him on my mind. My
See?
guy, it's just a great pick. Yeah, my guy was somebody you did mention because I know maybe he's not flying under the radar in terms of the fans knowing him, but I think he's flying under the radar in terms of what he could be in the NHL. And I went with Tyler Thorpe, and the reason I went with him is that I think he's seen as a good prospect to play on the fourth line, and everybody will be happy with that, and that's fine. I wonder if there's not a little bit more to him than that in a
Yeah.
sense that I found this year compared to the year before. There was a lot more fluidity to his movement. He's picking up the skating has come along a little bit better in terms of smoothness and mobility, not in terms of straight ahead speed, but his turns were a little bit smoother. And he's pretty good at getting open to get shots on net. And he's got to improve the quality of his shots, but he understands where to get positioned to take shots on nets. And his defensive game has been solid. I found this year he's seen time on the penalty kill with Vancouver. He's been good in that role. He's got that big body, of course. But I wonder if he cannot be a little bit more, maybe even a third line or in a pinch, a second line guy who goes to the corner, who gets the puck, and who doesn't kill your offense either because he can't keep up and participate in the play a little bit. Ultimately, third line role would be, or what we qualify as a third line role, right, in terms of usage. Uh, but I think there's a little bit more to his game even than people realize, just because I really like what I've seen this year from him. I might have seen him 5 times, but every time I saw it, you hear his name a lot. You in the offensive zone too, not just in the defensive zone. And his game is not only based on his physicality, but it's intelligence, getting open, understanding where to go. So there's a little bit more to Tyler Thorpe in that sense. I find him maybe flying under the radar to me.
Yeah. Like if you just said who I think, may surprise
Yeah.
and overachieve, I would have picked Thorpe. But
Hmm.
you said under the radar, and I don't believe he's under the radar right now. So
Right.
so I agree 100% that yeah, he's got more than fourth line NHL
Hmm.
upside for sure.
Yeah.
I actually like the skating in his draft year even. Like I think I think it's certainly not a weakness in his game.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a good shot. He's sees the ice well, decent vision. I like his competitiveness. He can handle himself physically, throws hits, um, goes to the front of the net, not afraid to go to the crease area,
Yeah.
put up decent point totals the last 2 years in Vancouver. Um, yeah, I see third line, middle line upside with him.
Hmm.
Whether he'll ever reach it or not remains to be seen. But it's too bad he didn't get into a playoff game with Laval last year. I was kind of hoping that
Yeah.
he would, because I think that they were a bit undersized, and it ended up hurting them in against a team like Charlotte. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I don't think they'll make that mistake twice.
Hmm.
they'll have uh, they'll have the torpedo in the lineup
Good.
in the playoffs next year. Um, yeah, I think he's got middle line upside. Uh, the Canadians could use another big piece in the top nine. I mean, I was advocating for them to draft Prokhorov in part for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one of the reasons why they passed over Prokhorov is because they think maybe that Thorpe can do that job, right?
Interesting. Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't disagree that he's a really solid prospect that may have more than fourth line NHL upside.
Awesome. Awesome. We've talked about the medium to long term future of the Habs in the NHL, but there's a short term future also to think about in the NHL, and that means the Olympics are coming to the wonderful, beautiful, amazing country of Italy in February. There's some Habs players that are really in the mix on being on those teams. So let's break it down, Grant. Let's see which Canadian players do you think are the best candidates to play in the Olympics in 2026?
Yeah, there are the groups. And I just wanted to speak about that first, Rick, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
The Canada's in with Czech Republic, Swiss, France. I don't know. I think you got to say that they're the favorites in that group, right?
I would think so. That looks like it to me.
Uh, Obviously, Czech Republic. Hey, everyone remembers Nagano. That's our age, and thankfully they don't have Hasek in nets, and
Yes.
Canada doesn't have Mark Crawford as its coach. So
Yeah.
you know, hopefully, hopefully it'll be a little different this time around. But
Yes.
uh, should be able to come out of that group. Although
Yes.
the Swiss is always good in these events, aren't they? Like,
I agree.
so it's not maybe as weak a group as some might suggest. That
Absolutely.
the Group B is going to be very interesting. You
I
know,
agree.
Finland, Sweden, Slovakia, Italy. Uh, Italy obviously will have their hands full, but they are the home team, so
Of
you never know.
course.
They'll play tough,
Yep.
but it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that group. Though Slovakia won't be a pushover, and the Finns and Swedes always great hockey there.
Absolutely. I love those games.
Um, United States, Germany, Latvia, Denmark. The U.S. lucked out there. Fair to say. Got
Yeah.
it. I mean, Germany again. They've been they've been really solid in World Championships and the last Olympics, obviously, right?
Yep.
So, and Latvia plays their butts off. They're
They're
never an easy
so
out.
hard.
They never get
Oh,
outworked. So,
never.
and Denmark's up and coming, but you got to say that the U.S. Is the prohibitive favorite in that group. But what do
Agreed.
you think?
I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, the United States might, if they get a little cocky, they might be surprised by one of those teams. That's the one thing about the States. They get overconfident a little bit at times, and I think that could bite them in the butt because again, when you're outworked and the game is tight and you're fighting for your lives, those desperate teams are always a danger. But I agree, the B group is going to be fun to watch. I mean, there's a lot of rivalry games. There's a lot of intensity when these teams meet. So they're going to be a lot of excitement there. And Canada, again, they look great, but they also cannot be cocky because there are teams that could beat them, and one loss could really hurt you over the long run. So always fun tournaments to watch. I mean, that's great hockey, and it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Getting back to your original question,
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
uh, I think there's 9 Habs in the running for
Wow.
spots, and I'll just put up group
Okay.
here. Hey, that went a little smoother, eh?
Yeah,
Um,
great stuff.
Obviously, Slav
Yeah.
is not only a favorite, he was named, right?
Hmm.
So he's yeah, I really think he's going to be on Slovakia. That's good
Hmm.
call by me. Eh?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
you got that one. Good.
uh, and I look forward to him having a. I mean, he was fantastic at the last Olympics, and he was only 17. So I look for him to have a solid outing for Slovakia. Nick Suzuki. Well,
Wow.
fair to say that I thought that he was he was passed over for the Four Nations Cup. I thought he should have been there. And now you see lists and he's on it for most of these people predicting, I mean, he only had to finish top 15 in points in the NHL to finally start making these lists, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
top 15 in points, top 5 in game winning goals, plus 19 on a team that had a goal differential of minus 20, which is almost unheard of. Like Dylan Larkin was something like minus 17 on a team with a
Wow.
minus 20 goal differential.
Wow.
Seeing all the other teams' top lines and playing as much as he does, to have finished the year top plus 19, it just you can't say enough about his two-way game and how he
Hmm.
carried a team that some preseason predictions had them finishing last in the East and 70
Yeah.
some points or whatever, 68, I think
Yeah.
I saw one. And they end up making the playoffs in large part because of Suzuki. I think you got to have him on the team this year, Rick.
I agree. And his intelligence is outstanding. And it's so important. You don't have time to wait a month or 6 weeks for a player to set in or get used to it. You don't have time to think long term in these kind of tournaments. You got to kind of adapt quickly to the situation. And I can't imagine Nick Suzuki not being able to adapt in anything you ask him to do. So I don't see why he wouldn't make this team. I think he should be a sure bet, but we'll see what happens. But I would have him on there too for sure.
Yeah, I and part people when they're making these lists seem to think that you need 8 wingers and and 4 centers, but
Hmm.
you go
Nah,
with as many you go with as many centers as you can
for
for
sure.
situational face-offs for
Yeah.
you know f- because centers can play on the wing uh in a second,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like I wouldn't go with 10 wingers and two
No,
centers if
of course. Of course. No.
and say, well, 2 wingers, you got to play center, right? It's the other way
Right.
around. Like
Absolutely.
the 87 Canada Cup team had Mario, Wayne, Mess, Brent Sutter, Gilmore, and Howardchuck, right?
My
6
God.
centers.
Wow.
Well, Messier, Mario, and Howardchuck played on the wing quite a bit, and
Yep.
it's fair to say that they played just fine, you know?
They had a great time. And
Yeah,
Grant, you know what? I'm also curious to know if the players that are named on the team are the decision makers going to ask them what they think. And I think if you ask Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Point, Reinhardt, how was it like to play against Suzuki? Is he worthwhile? I think they'd all say, yeah, you got to have him on the team because you have no idea how difficult he is to play against due to his intelligence and capacity to be on the right spot and to think the game and to adapt so quickly. I think if you'd ask them, they'll probably say, "Yeah, I want this guy on our team because he's better than you realize."
yeah. Well, the best World Junior team ever had Crosby on the wing,
Mm.
aligned
Yeah,
with Bergeron. Larry
yeah,
Robinson told me the best line he ever saw was Gretzky, Perreault, and Lafleur until Perreault got injured, but Perreault had to play the wing on that line, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, name the best 13 forwards or 14 or whatever,
I
and
agree.
regardless of position, right?
I
Because
agree.
centers can play on the wing in a snap. It's the easiest transition of any position wise in the
Yep.
NHL. If you're a good two-way center, you're going to be a good two-way winger. It's just the
Yes.
way it is.
Yes.
So
Right.
I think Robert Thomas deserves, Shifley deserves, you know, and Suzuki. All three of those guys were left off of the Four Nations Cup.
Hmm.
I personally would take them over Sorelli, Jarvis, and uh, Hagel. If I was picking a team today,
Hmm.
I would have those three in replacing those three that were on the. But John Cooper's the coach, right? And he'll probably take guys he's familiar with, and
I agree.
it's tough. I mean, it's hard when there'll always be guys left off. A Canadian Olympic team and a Canadian, best on best team that deserve to be on it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And another thing too is Suzuki's a right-handed shot, and I think you could use a few of them spread on the lineup too. So that's maybe an
Yeah,
advantage that he has that I hope will work out because I really do want to see him on this team, and it would be deserved.
yeah. Okay. Oh, geez, we're doing way too much agreeing here. Let's get back to the list.
Right.
Uh, Caulfield. Uh, fifth in. I was looking up his stats. He was the fifth
Right.
best American goal scorer last year. Tied for ninth in points among all American forwards. If he's on a 40 goal pace or better this season coming up to the Olympics. I see him making the team. Um, the Olympics is it's a fast, skilled tournament as a rule, and I think Caulfield fits into that. You know,
Yeah,
uh, there won't be a lot of undersized forwards on the team. Like it may come down to him or DeBrincat if they don't want to have too many quote unquote smaller players. But uh, I just think he's really suited to the Olympics. I mean, the U18 team is one of the best in history. Caulfield playing with Hughes and that group, and he set like records for goal scoring.
yeah.
So he has some pedigree when it comes to playing international hockey and excelling. And I think he's going to be he's in strong contention to be on the American team. What do you think, Rick?
I 2 years ago I would have said probably not because I think his overall game was lacking a little bit. I think defensively he's come away.
Exactly.
He's not bad at all. He's at least involved. He doesn't quit on the play defensively. He pressures the opponent. So I would like to see him, and especially this, and the NHL being a copycat league, it's size always seems to be so important. In this environment, in the Olympics, it is not important. So get Caulfield on this team. His speed, his scoring ability, and it's constant. That's the thing about him. It's consistent. It's not a guy that's going to have like no 15 goals in 8 games and then you don't hear from him for 10 games. He's a constant point producer in any setting. So
Yeah.
definitely I would really have Cole Caulfield on my team, and then he could do a lot of things that maybe people don't think of him when they think of him, but he can be a factor even without the puck.
Oh yeah, he's improved his defensive game uh, dramatically over the last 2 years, and also his playmaking is underrated as well.
Yeah, that's true.
He's had very good assist totals the last 2 years. So
Hmm.
it's not just he's not just a one trick pony. And
No,
I think he would excel at the Olympics. Put him with you know with a couple of really good. They've got some big boys too. Like you could put him with Tage Thompson and Jack Eichel or something like that, and
yeah,
he's well insulated if you're worried about his size, which I don't think is big a factor at the Olympics. Some
no,
of the best Olympic performance all time was little Europeans that just
yeah,
zipped around the ice, right? So
of course, of course.
yeah, I think he's a good he's a solid bet. I think to make the team the Olympic team. And then the last guy, I listed 5 that I think are decent bets,
Yeah,
or better bets at least. And Hutson's the other one. I'd put him 5th in this group among, only because they've already got Quinn Hughes, who's a
right.
lock, or probably already named, right? I guess I didn't look at their
He is
roster ahead
he
of
is named.
time, but
Yes, he was named. He was
yeah.
named. Yes. Yeah, yeah, he's
So
named.
I mean, even his dad has said to me, you can only have one really undersized defenseman usually on a team, at the
Hmm.
very most 2. So I don't know that he's a favorite at this time, but let me tell you, if he comes out of the gate and he's like leading all defensemen in scoring, or he's top 3, and that's not out of the realm of possibility, that he you know just keeps improving, and he's right up there in points. It's going to be tough to keep him off the team, because I also think that he could excel in the
Oh yeah.
Olympic game. And you put Hughes with a big defenseman, put Hutson with a big defenseman, and just let them go out there and
Yep.
dangle people.
You know what, Grant? I think one factor that's going to be important is that it depends which side of the ice he plays this year, right? So if he's on the right side, his odds of making the team just got a lot better, because then he might not be competing against Quinn Hughes, but he might be competing against Adam Fox for that role, right? and maybe he can beat out an Adam Fox on the right side to make this roster. So maybe that's something to think about too for use
Yeah.
for for uh,
Well,
for Hutson. Sorry.
well, he's a better skater uh than Fox, and
Hmm.
that might factor in. It could come down to Fox and Hutson,
Yeah.
and if Hudson's putting up, he's 10, 15 points ahead of Fox in point production leading in, they might say, "Hey, let's go with Hutson." So yeah, I, they may probably not want all three of those guys on the
No,
team.
that's it. Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
they could go with two and
Yeah.
insulate them, and yeah, you're right. I agree with that. That it may ultimately come down to Fox or Hutson for a spot. Let's get
And
back
other
to the
words, yeah. Let's see who else is out there.
list here. Now we're looking at guys who have, I think, an outside chance, and it's three Canadians: Dobson, Matheson, Montembeault for Canada. Um, I mean, Montembeault, he might be third goalie or whatever. I don't know that he would get into action necessarily, but it all depends on what kind of a start he has. Certainly, you can't say, well, there's three Canadian goalies that are locks. You know,
No,
it's the one
no.
it's the one position where there's question marks, really.
Yeah.
So I'd say he's in the mix. Um, Dobson, if he returns to his form of 2 years ago and is on a 70-point pace or whatever, got to think that he definitely will be considered. And both him and Matheson were on the World Championship team. That just
Hmm.
and that never hurts either, right? When you
Yeah.
come out and you play for your country and you play decently, and they did well. Uh,
Hmm.
both of them, if they're having really good seasons, I think they're going to be they'll be under consideration.
Absolutely.
And the dark horse here, and people will say, "Oh, there's Grant with his Oliver Kapanen love again." But hey, Finland. I mean, I've seen rosters of Finland with KK. You know, Jesperi Kotkaniemi,
Yes, him.
Kotkaniemi,
Just go with KK.
Kokaniemi. That's what people say now, and it's actually a lot easier to say. So we'll go with Coco. Um,
All right.
yeah, yeah, I pronounce that about as well as you pronounce Matheson there. Um, sorry, I'm just teasing you with that.
My Italian neighborhood in Montreal influence always gets to me a little bit, but that's all good.
um, I don't know if anyone remembers, but Kapanen, he played for Finland at the 2024 World Championships and led them with 6 goals in 8 games.
Hmm.
Tied him for fifth best in the tournament. The next highest goal scorer on Finland had 3. Now,
Okay.
these teams put a lot of stock in, how you perform for your team internationally, and it's the only time he ever played, and he was 20 years old at the time. Uh, So he's definitely on the Finnish radar. And after the first 2 or 3 centers, like I said, there's a drop off. I mean, KK is under consideration, right? So he's just got to outplay KK. And of course, most Canadian fans think, well, that's not going to be hard to do. But anyway, um,
Well, the coaches always have their say, and if they like a certain player, even if he's under the radar a little bit, the coach is important. And I don't know who the coach in Finland's going to be, but if he really likes, Kapanen, I could
yeah,
see it. I mean, they're familiar with him, and he's probably because he played in Europe more recently. They might say, well, he's a bit more familiar with the bigger ice right now
yeah.
in Europe, and they might say, well, that might be a little advantage we have. So it's not impossible, but it is a long
Well,
shot, but not totally out of the realm of possibility. I agree.
well, I mean, 2 years ago he was on the national team, right?
Right.
and
Yeah.
he's only better now. It's 2 years later. He was
Hmm.
20 years old at the time. He would have been he would have been playing at the Worlds last year if he didn't come to North America after his
True.
season,
True.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, uh, like he was fifth in the in the SHL in points per game. He was going to be on their world team, national team again last year if that was the plan. But he came over to North America. Like in the past dozen years, only 3 Finns have scored more goals at the Worlds than Kapanen 6, and one of them was Laine. So, um, and he also played 2 under or World Juniors and was a war letter, was their first line center. So he's highly regarded in Finland, and if he does win the second line center spot in Montreal and puts up points, plays well, even if he doesn't, but if he has a good start to the season this year, I think he'll be on the Finnish team.
Can't wait for the tournament to start, Grant, because it's going to be some good hockey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Grant, I think we're done for today's episode. Another great one. Can't thank you enough for all your hard work. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. It helps us, and it's just a great way for you to know of all the great stuff that Grant puts together. If you're a Habs fan and you really get great breakdowns, he does some really good video stuff. And please, on social media, we're both there. Grant McCagg, Rick Springhetti. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Twitter, and let us know. Ask us questions. Let us know what you think. And we'd love to talk with hockey fans. Grant, can't thank you enough. It was a great episode today. We're going to be back next week.
Sounds good. We'll talk some more hockey.
Awesome, man. Have a great week, Grant. Bye-bye, everyone.